Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Anna, and I need you to pause what you're doing for a moment because there's something happening around money right now, around opportunity, and I feel like you need to hear this. If you're here, it's probably because something inside you is shifting. Maybe you've been feeling it, this quiet restlessness, like you're standing at the edge of something, but you're not sure what it is yet. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but I want you to really listen to yourself as we move through this. Let me ask you something. Have you been noticing small moments lately where money comes up in unexpected ways, not necessarily big things, but like maybe someone mentions a job opportunity in passing, or you're scrolling and you see something that makes you think, wait, I could actually do that. It can feel like these little breadcrumbs. And some people, they brush them off. They think it's coincidence. But what if it's not about coincidence at all? What if it's about you finally being ready to notice? Here's what I'm sensing. You may be entering a phase where the way you relate to money, to value, to your own worth is about to go through a significant transformation. Not because the universe is handing you something, but because you're shifting internally. And that shift, it changes everything. Let's pause for a moment and really sit with this. Some people experience this as is less than #0. 5# is greater than a sudden clarity. Like you've been doing the same work, the same routine. And then one day you're sitting at your desk and you realize, I'm worth more than this. Not in an arrogant way, just factual, clear. It's possible you've been undervaluing yourself, maybe for years. Maybe you've been saying yes to things that don't match your actual skill level, your time, your energy. And there's this moment, this very specific moment, where that stops making sense to you. Have you felt that tightness in your chest when you think about your current situation, like something's just off? Comment below if this is resonating. I want to know what you're experiencing. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you start to shift how you see your own value, external circumstances often seem to respond. Not because of magic, not because you manifested it, but because when you believe you're worth more, you start making different choices. You start asking for what you need. You stop accepting less in some situations. This can look like sudden opportunities, a conversation that leads somewhere unexpected, an email you almost didn't send, a decision you've been putting off that. When you finally make it, opens doors you didn't even know existed. It can feel like things are happening fast, like your bank balance might actually change in ways you weren't expecting. But hold on. Let me slow down for a second because this is important. This isn't about waiting for something to happen to you. This reflection invites you to consider that you might already be holding the key, the shift, the transformation. It starts with how you see yourself. I'm not sure why, but I feel like some of you have been playing small, like you've convinced yourself that you're not ready or you don't have the right experience or it's not the right time. And that story, it might be the only thing standing between you and a completely different financial reality. Let me give you a real moment. Picture this. You're walking home from work or you're in your car and you're thinking about that thing. You know the one, that idea, that side project, that skill you've been developing quietly. And there's this voice that says, What if I actually tried? What if you did? Some people are experiencing right now a kind of internal permission slip. Like you're finally allowing yourself to want more, to expect more, not from a place of greed, but from a place of knowing that you have something valuable to offer. And when that happens, when you really step into that, other people notice, opportunities notice, money flows differently because you're no longer blocking it with your own doubts. This can feel like suddenly people are reaching out. Suddenly there's interest in what you do. Suddenly a project you started months ago gains traction. It's not random. It's you aligning with your actual worth. Now, I want to be really clear about something. This isn't a guarantee. This isn't me saying is less than #0. 5 hash is greater than your bank balance is definitely going to explode tomorrow. What I'm saying is you may notice that when you change your relationship with money, when you stop seeing yourself as someone who has to struggle, things can shift in ways that feel almost sudden. But it's not sudden. You've been building this. You've been preparing, even if you didn't realize it. Let's talk about something tangible. Have you noticed lately, maybe you've been rereading a text message from someone or thinking about a conversation you had weeks ago that you dismissed at the time? Sometimes opportunity doesn't announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, and you have to be willing to go back and look again. It's possible there's something you passed on, something you said no to, that's still available. Or maybe there's a person you need to reach out to, a question you need to ask, a boundary you need to set around your pricing, your time, your availability. What would it look like if you trusted yourself enough to take that step? I feel like for some of you, there's been this quiet tension building. Maybe it's between you and your current job, or between you and the way you've been managing your finances. There's this silence, this unspoken thing where you know something needs to change, but you haven't named it yet. This reflection invites you to name it. What is it that you're actually avoiding? What conversation do you need to have? What decision have you been postponing because you're scared of what might happen if you actually choose yourself? Comment below and let me know, what's the one thing you've been avoiding? Here's what I want you to understand. You remain in control of your choices, always. This isn't about fate or destiny handing you something. This is about you recognizing your own power and deciding to use it. When I talk about money flowing, about opportunities opening up, I'm talking about what becomes possible when you stop waiting for permission, when you stop thinking you need to be more qualified, more experienced, more ready. In some situations, the readiness comes from doing the thing, not before it. Let me share something with you. You may be experiencing right now this feeling of restlessness, like you can't quite settle, like the routines that used to work don't anymore. That's not a bad sign. That's actually, it can be a sign that you're outgrowing something. And when you outgrow something, you have to let it go to make space for what's next. Maybe that's a mindset. Maybe that's a job. Maybe that's a story you've been telling yourself about what you're capable of earning, of achieving, of becoming. This feels important, really important. Trust your inner knowing on this. Now let's talk about the practical side, because I don't want this to feel too abstract. Some people, when they go through this kind of shift, they notice concrete changes. Maybe they finally have that conversation with their boss about a raise. Maybe they launched something they've been sitting on. Maybe they say no to a project that doesn't pay enough is less than #0. 5 is greater than, and that creates space for one that does. It's possible that in the next few weeks or months, you'll look back and realize that was the turning point. But here's the thing. The turning point isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create by choosing differently. What would it mean for you to choose differently right now, today? I want to ask you something else. Have you been feeling this pull toward learning something new or revisiting a skill you set aside? Some people experience this as a sudden interest in a topic they haven't thought about in years. And it feels random, but it's not. Your intuition might be guiding you towards something that could actually shift your financial situation. Not immediately, but over time, if you listen. Are you listening? Comment and let me know what you've been drawn to lately. I'm curious. Let's sit with this for a moment. There's a difference between hoping for change and preparing for it. Some of you are hoping, and that's okay. But I'm inviting you to prepare, to actually take the steps, however small, that signal to yourself that you're serious about this shift. Maybe that's updating your resume. Maybe that's finally setting up that account you've been meaning to create. Maybe that's reaching out to someone who works in a field you're interested in. These actions, they matter. Not because they're magic, but because they reinforce the new story you're telling yourself about who you are and what you're worth. Here's what I'm seeing. For some of you, there's been this pattern of almost getting there, almost landing the opportunity, almost making the sale, almost reaching the goal. And it's frustrating. I get it. But this reflection invites you to consider, what if the almost was preparation? What if you were learning, adjusting, refining? And what if now you're actually ready, not because time has passed, but because you've changed? It can feel like things are about to click into place. And maybe they are, but only if you're willing to show up for them. I'm not sure why, but I feel like some of you need to hear this. You're not behind. You haven't missed your chance. The timing of your life is your own. And just because something didn't happen when you thought it would, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You may notice in the coming days or weeks, opportunities presenting themselves in unexpected forms. A casual conversation that leads somewhere. An idea that suddenly feels urgent. A door opening that you didn't even know you were standing in front of. Pay attention, trust yourself, and take action. Before we close, I want to leave you with this. Your relationship with money is deeply personal. It's tied to your sense of safety, your sense of worth, your sense of freedom. And when you heal that relationship, when you start to see money not as something scarce or hard to access, but as something that flows in response to the value you create, everything changes. This isn't about positive thinking. This isn't about pretending. This is about genuinely shifting how you see yourself and what you believe you deserve. And you deserve more than you've been allowing yourself to receive. So here's what I want you to do. After this video, take a moment, sit quietly, and ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today, right now, that honors my worth? And then do it. You remain in control. You have the power. And the shift you're looking for, it starts with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting yourself enough to listen. I'll see you in the next one. Take what resonates and trust your inner knowing.